I don't want to die early. What the What the Yo! What? Hey guys, what is up? Nikjojo here, and today we'll be going over an advanced bruiser lethality Gangplank build that I've been testing out for the past 2 weeks. Now, I'm not going to claim complete credit over this build, as it's simply a build with your typical lethality items on top of a few tanky items due to the recent lethality buffs, but a lot of inspiration from this build comes from the Korean style of playing Gangplank. Firstly, let's start off with the benefits of this build. Number 1, you'll be pulling off a lot more reliable damage because you won't be relying on a crit chance. Number 2, this build is cheap, so you'll be hitting power spikes earlier than your typical crit Gangplank build. Number 3, you'll be able to withstand burst because you'll be building bruiser items. Now, there are only 2 downsides of this build. Number 1, the biggest downside is that you're going to need to be a skillful Gangplank player. You'll need to know how to use your barrels effectively, how to land combos, how to land barrel combos, as the majority of your damage is going to be coming from kegs, your burn passive, your Q damage, on top of your sheen procs. So being able to not rely on your auto attacking your enemy to death is super important. The second downside is that, considering you'll be building a lot of defense, you'll also be sacrificing a lot of late game one-shot potential, a la the critical strike, typical IE, static shiv, phantom dancer build. You won't be dealing as much damage as that critical strike build, but you will be dealing a lot of damage, and I believe that the trade-offs are going to be worth it. So let's just jump right into the build, starting with runes. You really have 2 rune pages that you could use. Your reds are going to be all lethality reds. For your yellows, you can either use full armor, or you can use HP per level, or a mix of both. For your blues, you're going to use flat cooldown reduction, or you could use flat magic resist if you're against an AP opponent. And for your quintessences, you're going to need 1 cooldown reduction quint to max out your flat cooldown reduction at 10% at level 1. But if you went the magic resist route on your blues, you're going to need 2 quintessences of scaling cooldown reduction, and fill up the remaining quintessence slots with lethality. Onto the masteries. Take Savagery, 5 points in Savagery. It makes your last hitting much easier, considering you don't have any AD from your runes. Then take Assassin. Assassin is much better than Secret Stash, especially over a long period of time. And then take 4 points in Merciless and 1 point in Meditation. Reasoning behind this is because if you put 5 points in Meditation, you're really losing out on the invaluable amount of damage that Merciless gives you. However, if you put 4 points in here and 1 point into Meditation, this gives you about like enough mana in your laning phase for maybe 1 more or 2 more Qs. So 1 point in Meditation. Then obviously we take Bandit, because Bandit gives us 10 gold every time we Q an enemy, which is every 5 seconds. Then we go for Precision instead of cooldown reduction intelligence, because the lethality you get from this is way too much. You get about 6 armor penetration at level 1. Invaluable when trading against the enemy opponent, and invaluable at all stages of the game. You could go for intelligence, but I wouldn't recommend it. Take Precision. Then Thunderlord's Decree, obviously. Sorcery, either Fresh Blood if you think you can Q the enemy a lot early on, or simply go for Feast, which is what I like going for. Then we put 4 points in Natural Talent, 1 point in Vampirism. 1 point in Vampirism because it's simply effective. Then for your final point, now this is what Koreans do. Koreans usually go for Battle Trance, something that ND players don't really go for. You could either go for Battle Trance or you can go for Double-Edged Sword. Me, personally, I don't like taking the 2.5% damage from Double-Edged Sword, but I like having access to the 5% damage which Battle Trance gives me, so we'll be going for Battle Trance. I do not like Bounty Hunters simply because it takes way too long. Now onto the most important part of the video, the build. Trinity Force, as always. Second item, Yumu's, because the amount of damage you get from Yumu's at mid-game is invaluable, plus it gives you the highest amount of lethality, 20 lethality. Then we get Steric Sage, Edge of Night, and top it all off, Immortal Reminder. Steric Sage gives us the tankiness, and the passive it gives us, the plus 25 base attack damage, is decently good when paired with Trinity Force passive, because Stirrup Gauge increases your base attack damage, the amount of damage you get off on Trinity Force increases because of the Sheen passive. Then we get Edge of Night, obviously, broken item, we need it, and it gives us lethality, and it gives us magic resist, so we get, this is a bruiser playstyle with Edge of Night. And the reason we get Mortal Reminder instead of Lord Dominic's Regards is because we already have a lot of health in this build. So we have health from Trinity Force, health from Stirrup Gauge, so the amount of extra damage you get from Lord Dominic's Regards isn't, sometimes it isn't even applicable to the game. So you'll be running Mortal Reminder for the most part. Now onto the gameplay. Like I said earlier, even though you're able to survive bursts from champions that may focus you, like Vi, Talon or LeBlanc, you'll need to be able to land keg combos and Q enemies from afar. The difference between this build and the crit build is that this build focuses on keeping you alive in the face of oppressive enemy assassins and high damage opponents, while also giving you ridiculously high amounts of damage with your Q, Sheen proc, on top of all the lethality you'll be building. I think that the higher ELO you get, the more viable this build becomes, mainly because games end faster the higher up you go, and some games even end during the mid game. While the crit build is definitely superior in terms of damage during the late game, it is simply too much to ask for of your teammates to not throw the game before you get full crit items. However, with this lethality bruiser build, you'll be a mid game threat and thus provide more support to your team members. I'd love to go more in depth on how to play Gangplank during all stages of the game, but I'll just keep that for a future video, as I wanted to keep this lethality GP build as short and sweet as possible. Before we end, here's a question I'd like to pose to you. What makes you interested in playing Gangplank? Leave your answers in the comments section below. And that's it guys, thanks for watching, I hope you learned something of value today, and if you have any questions, you can ask me directly on twitch.tv/Nikjojo, where I stream regularly and nearly every day. So, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.